Hey folks, Quilly here, and welcome to another episode of Let's Play Kerbal Space Program. Last episode, we went and designed ourselves a space plane, which miraculously made it to space and made it into orbit on our first go, and in fact, we were able to arrange for a rendezvous. So we are here, not very far away from our science station. Now, we don't have to dock to this bad boy over here. Just going to switch to him for a second. We only have one docking port on here, and it's currently occupied. So I'm going to undock, turn on RCS mode, and back away. There we go, like that. Turn off RCS and we'll switch back to ours. Now, we don't actually have a whole lot of RCS, unfortunately. The reason for that is it turns out the container I brought, which is this thing over here, only fits 8 liters of monopropellant. I did not realize that, and we used some of it incorrectly, thinking we needed it for a rotation. That's going to make this docking massively more difficult to execute, especially since we actually want to save enough delta V to... There we go. Turn that up. Enough delta V to deorbit and return home. So it's going to be really tricky to execute, because mostly we'll have to do this like non-RCS way, which is going to be doubly hard with this other guy in the way. Maybe I should move him further away. Anyway, for now what I'm going to do is I'm going to burst a little bit and try to overshoot my target. We're in target mode over here, so we can check our relative speed. We're only moving at 0.5 meters per second relative to our target here. Not very speedy at all, but it'll allow us to shoot past. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to speed up time a little bit, because I need to get to the other side, because the other side is where the docking port is. That is the lander that we're going to try not to collide with as it drifts away. Hopefully there'll be plenty of space, because really, if we're going with a non-RCS style dock, we want to have as far of a run-up as possible, because we're going to have to line up from quite far away and try to come in straight, as opposed to having to do a lot of lateral motion, although there's always going to be a little bit of that required. And it's not like we have the world's strongest reaction wheels, so our ability to sort of twist and turn and rotate is not as good as we might like. Okay, we can speed up a little bit more. Now, we are drifting further and further away here. Let me actually, burn in this direction. There we go. So get a little further away this way. And then we're obviously going to want to burn something like this to close in. So we'll want to squeeze in between these two spaces here. This is so not the right way to do this. At all. We're going to do what we can. We're getting a little closer to that guy, which sort of makes sense, but also was something we want to avoid. Alright, let's go to negative relative speed, because we are overshooting our target now. We're going sideways too fast. I didn't think that was going to be the thing. Oh man, our rotation speed is so bad. I'd love to turn on RCS to help us rotate faster, but no. Can't do that. Okay, we are once again going to try to kill our relative speed. Okay, we've mostly done that. Now, our target is actually the hatch that's right behind here. I'm going to... oh, we're too far away to actually set it as the main target. Okay. You know what? That's fine. But it is right back there is what we're looking for. So I'm going to try to more or less align to it. Let's go ahead and kill our sideways motion when we can. So in target nav ball, our prograde and retrograde marker is relative to our target. So if I burn retrograde here, I'll be slowing relative to our target, which is what we're looking to do. Okay, overshot it slightly, but that's fine. So we're more or less drifting kind of in parallel here. Now what I want to do is I want to face my target and make sure we're burning towards it. Wherever you're burning on your nav ball, if you burn long enough, that becomes your prograde, because that's the direction you're moving in. This circle is the direction towards your target, so if I burn towards this, it will go and set this as the prograde, because it'll get pulled towards this. There it is. So now we're more or less moving directly towards our target at a speed of 1 meter per second. I'm now going to flip over to the backside. So, negative relative. This is going to move us towards our retrograde marker relative to our target. And there's another pink marker here, which is the direction opposite the target. If the retrograde is directly on top of this, it means we're moving directly towards our target. Now, whereas you pull the prograde, you push the retrograde marker. I'm going to go and derate these. 24%. I don't know, whatever, something. I want them to be the same. I wish you could type this. There it is. Okay, so they're the same now, which is good. It'll make it easier to do this in precision. So you push the retrograde marker. pull the prograde, push the retrograde. So I'm going to try to push the retrograde marker on top of the pink marker. So now we're moving directly towards the target, slightly slower than before because we're mostly burning retrograde here. 0.6 meters per second. So what I'm going to do, I still can't, there it is. This is Clampotron, set as target, because that's specifically what we're looking to get to, and we are going to control from here because this should adjust a few things. So we're still moving almost directly towards the target. Now what we're not is parallel to the target. We're going to be coming in at kind of an angle. We should have another marker on here from one of my mods. There we go. This red marker, I believe, is the direction we want to be in to actually be parallel to this. In fact, if I set this to negative parallel on the Smart ASS, it should do this. So now I'm pointing in the same direction as this. Obviously, we're coming at an angle. We're mostly, let me pause. We're mostly moving towards my target because the prograde is on the target ball. We're mostly moving towards our target, and I'm currently facing the same way, the same orientation as the target, but we're coming in an angle, which isn't ideal. Ideally, what I would do is I would do this. I would do a very gentle burn here to pull the prograde towards me, and actually pull it onto the other side of the pink. Okay, now we're going actually directly towards it. Oh, I still have this fighting me here. Just pull it slightly to the other side. And that should cause the red marker to drift over it at some point. But of course, we're also closing in faster than before. So I'm going to go for a just pure retrograde burn. I think I've done that right. I might have done that wrong, actually. But I think the red will start to move closer and closer that way. But yeah, we'll do a tiny, tiny little retrograde burn to slow down our relative speed. It'll give us more time to work this out. Ideally, we'd be doing this with frickin' RCS. Instead of having to rotate ourselves. We'd actually just, like, orientate ourselves parallel from the start, and then frickin' use RCS to finish things. But that might not be in the cards. Still, now we're going slow enough that our 5.14 liters of monopropellant might give us the control that we need to finish this off. Oh, this is so tricky. So I'm just turning parallel to the target. This is a mod to put this on, by the way. And it's incredibly powerful. I'm going to go in quick save. And I will turn on RCS. And using IJK, so hear me when you hit a little I and a little J to move the prograde marker to the other side. Just a little. We're still mostly moving towards it. You can see the distance is closing. But we're moving slightly sideways towards it. We're not going directly towards the docking bay right now. We're likely going to move this way. We're going to just miss it over here. But what it means is my parallelness, right? My parallelness, we're going to slide past this at some point. And then what I'll do is I'll cancel that sideways motion by putting the prograde marker back on the pink. And hopefully everything will be okay. So by overshooting it sideways here, our parallel marker, as well as our orientation, which is the same right now, will eventually end up on top of the pink marker, at which point I want to slide my prograde marker back. That way, our parallel direction and my facing and the direction we're moving in will all be lined up on top of the target. So you can see I'm clearly moving sideways too much now, and the reason for that is the prograde marker is not right on the pink. If the prograde was on the pink, then we'd be going directly towards this. But we're going to miss intentionally as part of our lineup. Just going to move our prograde around a little bit so that's lined up better. I'm going to bring it back a little bit so we're moving more and more towards our target as opposed to overshooting it now. And I'm doing this with tiny little bursts of RCS that are helping to move us parallel. If I didn't have any RCS, I'd have to turn my whole ship, burn slightly, then turn back over and over. There we go. We're nearly lined up here, so we're still going sideways. So I'm going to bring the prograde in more and more and more. In fact, we're pretty much lined up enough now. I'm going to bring the prograde right on top of the target marker. So now we should be simply moving directly towards our target. I haven't added any forward or backwards. Our rate forward, like a rate in this direction. Oof, nice little lag there. The rate in this direction never changed. I'm just adding and removing a little sideways motion. And now I'm perfectly happy. Look at that. We didn't use much monopropellant here. I'm perfectly happy to let us drift directly towards our target. It's a little slow. I can speed it up. But, you know, why rush a job well done, huh? Exactly. Alright, it's a little slow. Let's rush it. 5 times, and whoa, whoa, whoa. 5 meters away. Closing at 0.3 meters per second, so 15 seconds closing time, presumably. Except when we get close, these do have magnetic attachment points, so they will link us. You can see that some things are drifting slightly, but it's so minuscule at this point that it doesn't matter. It should fail. Whoops. Hold us parallel. And... Oops, wrong arrows. Oh man, see, this is what I get for rushing things. And forward, 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 forward. There's a prograde marker. And bring the prograde in line again. There we go. We're all in line again, and woo! Latch! Alright. See? Rushing things. It's bad. We have docked. Thomdos and Billy Bobk are happy. We also brought some DVDs for them, so they're thrilled about that. Life support container. If I... what is it? Alt-click. Alt-click, 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 alt-click. Then it can say in. We're going to drain these bad boys and completely transfer everything over here. Now, at this point, we still have plenty of life support over here. It was too early to do the mission, but I want to know that we could do it. And our other little shuttle is drifting away. It's almost a kilometer away right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to save. I'm actually going to do a hard save here, just in case. I'm going to decouple. Undock. I'm going to turn on RCS one more time. And just pull us away. There we go. That's the last of my RCS. I pulled this away from the ship completely. And in fact, I'm going to go ahead and orbital retro... I want to make sure we're nowhere close to this thing to make it easier to dock with the other thing. But I don't want to let the other thing drift too far away. So, orbital retrograde to re-enter. I'm going to do a tiny little burst. Maybe not even enough to deorbit yet. Especially since my engines are down-rated. Periapsis. Yeah, there we go. So we've got tons and tons and tons of time. We're still well in orbit. So I'm just going to cancel this. We're still in space. So we're not going to deorbit yet. But that burst pushed us quite far away from the station. And got us out of the way. Alright. Now we have to... Can we only target from here? Not the space plane. I want to target the space station. There must be another way to target things. Target by name? Probably a mod for it. There it is. Set as target. There we go. Just make my life a little easier. Target mode, only 2 meters per second relative motion. Not really a surprise. We're going to point towards the target, which we can find as the pink marker. I have some fuel left. I have 180 meters per second left. I'm going to go and give us a little bit of a burst. There we go. Just start moving towards it. I'll be ready to hit the brakes when we get a little bit closer. Let's go ahead and time warp, because we are closing in more or less towards the target. Not exactly on, but we are closing in. .600 meters. 500. Okay, we'll do a little bit of an adjustment here. Because we want to pull our... Oops, on the other side. We want to pull our prograde. God, it's nice to have something with real reaction wheels. Pull our prograde towards the target. Mostly by burning parallel. This is both pulling the prograde towards the target and pushing the retrograde towards the anti-target. There we go. We're actually dead on. We're moving directly towards our target at this point. We're almost certainly not aligned to anything relevant, but we're getting closer. So somewhere back there, there it is. There's our space plane. Burned retrograde, so it fell behind. Not really a surprise. Or it shouldn't be a surprise. Let's time warp a wee bit. Thump. Now, where's the thing you were trying to dock to? Is it on this end? No, it's the other side, isn't it? Yeah, that's the Copia. The Francis Ford. Now, one thing I missed from the space plane, I gotta say, is an easy way to tell which way is, you know, pitch up, pitch down, that sort of thing. All right, let's burn negative velocity. We do need to save enough fuel to deorbit eventually here. So we don't want to burn too much. All right. come on. There it is. Set as target. Control from... Oh, yeah. Control from here, just to make sure. We've got lots of monopropellant. I mean, not infinite amounts, but it's pretty good. So, we want to pull our prograde over here, which it's nowhere near. So, just a slight little boost. There's the prograde. So, if we go more like here... There you go. Prograde's basically on the marker. Now, we're obviously coming in at an angle. You can see that our parallel is not matching. So, same as before. What we want to do... And you know what? I'm actually going to use monopropellant for this. Because we're going slow enough that we're going to have a good impact. And it won't use our fuel. I'm going to go and burn forward here by hitting H. Again, I'm going to overshoot with my prograde marker. Do that. Actually, we'll go into parallel mode at this point. Nope, parallel minus. Because parallel plus means we face the same direction, but we actually want to face the opposite direction because end to end. So by putting it past the pink marker, our parallel marker will drift above that. Once they're aligned, we're going to want to use I, J, K, and L to get our prograde marker to be back in line. Same as before. We can bring you in a little bit right now. Speed up just a scooch. Hopefully not like last time, where I miss it. There it is. Coming in very nicely. And get everything lined up. Okay, 0.5 meters per second. That means that'll take a minute to meet up. Let's go and speed up just a little bit. Hopefully not screwed up like last time. Alright, stop with 10 meters. Reestablish. We are, in fact, going to miss it. So we're going to go sideways a little bit just to try to get everything to line up on the pink marker again. There we go. Everything's in line. Beautiful. And thump. Good! So we want to leave these guys parked here because they have more experiments to feed in. But speaking of feeding, we're back to almost a year and a half of food instead of just over a year of food. Good. Am I still in range of the other thing? Nope, I am not. Let's quick save. Go to the map. Find the other vessel. Nope, not that one. Probably still super close to it, actually. Oh, right there. Switch to Spaceplane Supplier Mark III. I suspect, because very little time has been spent, we're probably still really close to our Apoapsis point, so we can probably just burn retrograde. Let's see here. No, Apoapsis is back there. Since I don't have much in the way of fuel, well, 320. You know what? Actually, never mind. I have tons of Delta V. We can burn retrograde here, and it's going to be fine. So I'm going to try to set a periapsis of like 40. We're not going to come in as steeply as before. There we go. Something like this. So we want to come in more horizontal and enter more of a flight mode kind of situation. All right. Hard save before we try this. So normally, let's close this. Normally at this point, we'd be looking to go surface retrograde. Point our butt into the wind, because we'd normally have a heat shield there. However, we do not, in fact, have that. We actually are going to be going much more surface prograde, much more facing our nose into the wind. However, not exactly. Right? Because we don't actually want to go in nose first. We actually mostly want to go like kind of belly first, something like that. So we're going to turn off this. We're going to go into stability assist, turn off the RCS. We're going to just rotate so that we're, parallel to the ground. The camera will shift at some point, and that'll be okay. Let's go with something like this. Let's go ahead and time warp until the end of the atmosphere. Hopefully these solar panels should auto retract once we do. Assuming, yeah, MechJeb is still set to do that. I could have right-clicked and done it, but that's going to be A-okay. Electricity should be fine. We've got 1,000 electrical charge. We will be reliant on it a fair bit. I'm going to go ahead and let's try 20 degrees. Okay? 20 degrees nose up. So we are, yeah. So it's still mostly our nose is mostly pointing forward, but exposing a little bit of belly. So hopefully that's going to be enough to like slow us down without burning up our nose. But I don't think we can go just flat belly first. First of all, that's not how planes fly. That would represent a plane flying straight down. Like imagine we were being dropped from space straight down. Well, we don't want to go belly first because planes don't fly that way. We mostly need to go nose first so that our wings work. But we want to pitch up a little bit so that we have more of our belly exposed so that we're slowing down. I mean, pitching up is normally how you go upwards and climb, which isn't what we want to do, but the air is going to be really thin up here, so that's less of an issue. All right, so, and hopefully it's slowing us enough that we don't actually re-enter space, but we'll see. Quick save. I'm going to go ahead and physics warp a little bit here until some things start to happen. Oh, we're pitching up more and more. I'm going to try the 20 degrees. I just picked it arbitrarily here. It sort of looks right, you know? For all I know, it should be 10s. For all I know, it should be 45. Okay, our nose is starting to get a bit hot, which I don't want. If our nose gets too hot, I'm going to have to pitch up more. Expose more of the belly. I don't know. 52. Okay, there we go. We're starting to get some nice heat here. I'm going to try to hold 20. Again, it's totally arbitrary. Still no sound, I guess. Kind of funny. Because it's barely any air at all. And we might have to install heat sinks on the outside. If we lose this, it's not the end of the world. We're going to, there's no reverting at this point anyway. Although, what we might do is revert or reload the quick save and try a different angle. Because we have to, we have to learn. In reality, we have computers like calculating frickin' angles re-entry. Apoapsis is coming in below 70, so we're definitely not re-entering space. 6 minutes to periapsis and climbing, which means we're, in fact, not even going to ping-pong up at any way. We're definitely coming down. That's not the doubt. The doubt is just, are we going to burn up? Now, luckily, we're not coming at an orbital speed that's as high as, say, coming back from the moon or anything like that, right? In fact, you can re-enter without a heat shield from orbit, like normally. You know how we always ensure to include a heat shield? You can actually re-enter without a heat shield from orbit. It's just not that fast. So this might be okay. We've got no heat meter yet, but we haven't actually hit the hot air yet either. So I haven't put in any inputs here. This seems to be, with SAS on, this seems to be the relatively stable pitch it's going for. I suspect, no, we're climbing a bit, which means we're going to flip. Okay. Stability is a little bit hard here. One thing I could do is I could actually go into surface mode. Heading's 90. Pitch, I could specify a pitch of, say, 15 degrees and execute that. Because then SAS will try to keep it there, as opposed to me, who has a tendency to overshoot stuff. Now, I don't have the autopilot module engaged, but I'm going to suggest that that's okay right now, not having the fly-by-wire. So yeah, Smart ASS is trying to keep 15 degrees. Yeah, because 20 felt like... I'm just trying to imagine, like, if I were flying a plane, 20 degrees up pitch is really extreme. On the other hand, I am going, 2,000 meters per second, so maybe it's not so unreasonable. But let's lock it at 15 and see what happens. So we're at 46,000 feet. We're not descending very quickly. I just realized. We're barely descending. We're actually in horizontal flight. We're only dropping at 5 meters per second. Holy crap, we are flying here. I guess the air is so thin, but we're going so fast horizontally. We are freaking flying. Now, we're bleeding off speed. Not much of it. Yeah, we're almost horizontal. What the hell? Okay, I didn't see this coming. Do we actually want to be... Maybe... If I was slightly more horizontal, right? If I was only 10 or 5 degrees pitch, then we would fall faster. But we probably wouldn't be slowing horizontally as quickly. This is outstanding. This is astounding is actually the word I want to use. Astounding. This is not what I expected at all. Holy crap. Okay, I'm going to drop to 10 degrees pitch. And also, thank you everyone who pointed out... Oh, did I never actually hit execute? No, okay, it is there. Thank you everyone who pointed out that if you use the plus and minus, you will much more slowly, especially if you click the minus slowly, change from one orientation to the other, as opposed to type in the number and hit execute and then it does a sudden change. Yeah, that's really helpful. So we're going to go 10 degrees. There we go. So we're dropping faster. Now, of course, if we're dropping, we might actually be accumulating speed. We might be doing the opposite of what we want. I do want to drop because I don't want to spend ages here. I mean, it looks like we were descending very safely, but I want to get home at some point. So let's call it 10 degrees. I still don't think nose down is correct. We're going down quite quickly. We're still losing speed. Not much, but we're still losing speed. And the re-entry like this is going to be a lot longer. I mean, when we re-enter with a heat shield, we re-enter fast. But that's because we got the heat shield to do it. Here we do not. We just have, like, giant fireball mode. If this works on the first goddamn try, I don't know what I'm going to do with myself. Again, it's like, a little bit of heat on the wing. Or, the solar panel actually is, I think, what's getting hot here. That's slightly surprising, slightly disturbing. Maybe I need to get rid of the... Watch we die because of the solar panels. No, then the heat went away. It's like when a program compiles and runs for the first time. You're sure you've made some sort of horrible error. You just haven't been able to see what it is yet. Now, another thing is not everything here is shielded. And some of these things are much more heat sensitive than others. So that is something to be cautious about. Wow, we are descending so goddamn slowly. I think pitching down any more would be a mistake, because I suspect we wouldn't be bleeding off any real horizontal speed. But again, as we descend more and more and more, we are hitting more and more thick air. I guess I could go to times 4. Let's quick save. Let's go to times 4 physics warp here. And hope that the thing doesn't just suddenly shake itself apart. We're holding 10 degrees. We're bleeding off the speed. No heat meters. Still descending slowly. Now, one thing that I haven't done and I can't do, I guess what I could have done is check to see where we re-entered and where we ultimately land, and use that as a basis to, like, figure out where we should re-enter to actually land at the KSC. No, we're not over the KSC. Where's the antenna pointing to, I wonder? Okay, some things are getting a little bit of heat. That looks... It actually... I think it's a solar panel on both sides. Now, it's possible that those can explode without taking everything else. We're at 35,000 meters. Our speed is still coming down just very slowly. Part of me still wonders if we should pitch up to slow down our horizontal speed more while slowing our vertical descent. I don't know. So far, I can't complain. This 10-degree re-entry seems to be working. I'm as shocked as you guys are. Alright, well, times 4. Oh, that's shaking from the camera mode at high speed. Only one side's complaining about being hot. I think this wing is slightly lower. Although, no, there it goes the heat. It is slightly lower, but not enough to be a problem. We're probably turning slightly as a result. But no heat bars. 30,000 meters. Speed's down to the 1600s now. I mean, shit, this is our flying speed at this point. What the hell? How on... I was going to say, how on Earth? How on Kerbal are we not dead? How is this working? Alright, fair enough. Now, we might be landing in the ocean. Although, I could steer at this point to try to land on land. I don't know if that's actually better, to be honest. I think an ocean landing might be a better idea. Although, it has its own issues as well. Okay, let's quick save from here. And turn. If I'm going to turn, I'm going to turn on the fly-by-wire. Because it'll do a better job of not letting us exceed max Q and things. I just accidentally hit the space bar. Although, apparently, that's okay. We're still quite high. The air is quite thin. Our control surfaces are going to be somewhat questionable. There's a desert, I think, over here. If we could somehow make a 180 here. Almost said a 360. No. What happens if I hit space again? Does it make that noise every time? Did I relight these engines? Oh, I did. They're on now. The engines are on. And air breathing mode. Now, I have my throttle set all the way down, but we actually have engine control. How come the burn time's changing? Air breathing. Air breathing. Why do you have fuel flow? Oh, it's not actually flowing. It's changing the time to burn because of the oxygen mixture, I bet. Yeah, now it's going up. Yeah, there's something going on with that. But we will be able to turn our engines back on. All right, 180 almost complete. I don't know if we can make it back over there. It'd be a hell of a lot easier to land during the day, so we could see our shadow. Holy cow. Oh, right. I've been fighting this thing the whole time, too. Now, I think SAS is pretty good about turning off when you're actually putting in inputs. You can see I'm, like, full deflection over here. Which isn't maybe as much as I would like. Could increase those authority limiters. That actually might be a good idea. But yeah, our speed's down to 200 meters a second. We still have a long way to go. I'm definitely going to have to pitch down and try to keep a constant speed here. Now, I don't know. One thing with actual planes you've got... Oh, also... Oh, that's orbital mode. There we go, surface mode. One thing with planes is there is a optimal glide ratio. And like an angle of descent for something like this. So it'll be like, if you hold a certain angle or a certain speed, that'll give you the actual greatest distance. Because here's the thing. If you go completely horizontal, then your speed will bleed off and you'll collapse and you know, hit the ground, splatch. If you go straight down, then all of a sudden you'll hit the ground, splatch. There's an in-between point that will give you the greatest distance by combining, you know, keeping your horizontal speed as high as possible while reducing your downwards motion as much as possible. I don't know what it is for this design. So I'm going down at about -20 over here, maintaining a speed of about 165. This will drop a little bit as the air gets thicker. There's no way we make land at all. But hey, that's okay. One nice thing about landing at the ocean, you know that it's going to be at sea level, so it'll be exactly 0 meters for our landing, which is going to be good landing during the night like this, because we won't be able to judge from our shadow. So we can just keep descending, maybe at this angle over here, that's fine. Looks to me like maybe about 5 degrees above prograde is what we're doing here, and I don't know, it's feeling generally okay. As long as we don't enter a stall speed. Speed keeps going down, but it feels like at a acceptable level. And the thing is, I still have my engines. I can always light my engines. I can't see. Oh, I'm in a cloud. Holy crap. That's freaky. I could light my engines and probably make land. Let's get underneath the cloud layer here. Alright, because if I just throttle up now... Actually, our speed would climb insanely fast. I still think landing in the ocean is probably the safest. Here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a quick save here so that we can, like, try to land in the ocean as a backup. But yeah, let me go to, like, 1/3 throttle here. Just try to make the land. I'm actually climbing now. This is amazing. I can't believe how well this is working. I'm sure no one else can either. Do we have any oxidizer left? Some, but not much. I said we actually got pretty efficient in our balance of liquid fuel to oxidizer. Yeah, we're going to try to make the desert. The dessert. Kerbals love dessert. That's why we go to Minmus, because we were told it was made out of ice cream. And here we've got a whole bunch of dessert. Looks like... I don't know. From here, it kind of looks like a shortbread cookie, actually. So 1/3 engine power. We're still increasing our speed, clearly. But it turns out that that might be okay. Now, planes don't land with 0 power. They land with very little power. Now, I don't know what my ideal landing speed in this thing is. based on the takeoff, right, the fact that we could sort of pitch up and things right around, like, just before 100 meters per second, at about 90, clearly says that we've got plenty of climb, and we're clearly not at a stall speed at 90. In my previous version with the wings that were kind of like this, I actually, like, in my landing, I did a landing that was in the ocean. Felt like I was nowhere near stall speed at, like, 40 meters per second. This has clearly got really good... I mean, it's all wing is what this is. So I suspect we can probably land very, very slowly. We don't have any air brakes or anything. We might actually overshoot too far here. But what I might want to do is, like, a little bit of S-turning. In fact, because I think I burned too long. Just do a little bit of that. There we go. Down at 90. Well, I guess we've still got 3 kilometers to go. Do. Alright, that's pretty fast. Flatten out. Flatten out. Yeah, I think we can try to land somewhere over there. I have no idea where the Kerbal Space Center is. I believe the desert's on the opposite side of the world from the Kerbal Space Center, so we're not going to land close. But we are going to land. Now, if I want to bleed out more speed, I can drop the landing gear. I think I'll wait a little bit longer. This does rise a little bit. Not super high, but it's got some. I wonder if I had lights underneath us, if it would make it easier to spot the landing here. It feels like we're falling pretty fast. Yeah, we are actually. We're falling... Well, no, 10. So we've got a... If we move this around... Yeah, and this is a logarithmic rate. So we probably have something like a 5-to-1 glide ratio going on right now, which probably isn't very good. But so far, it's okay. I don't want to bleed off too much speed right now. There we go, something like this. I think this is a good approach speed. We've got no flaps. We've got no air brakes. We've got no parachute, right? Normally when I make a plane, I put parachutes because that's the easiest way to land. We just, like, drop the parachutes right now. No. We're doing this for realsies. Okay, I can see the ground texture. I'm going to go ahead and deploy the landing gear. Undercarriage down. 3 green lights. Okay, yeah. We are definitely pretty close to the ground. We could go in MechJet. It's got the surface view, which will report on you your true altitude above ground. So down to 40 meters per second. I'm still, you know, don't want to go too low. Oh, yeah, my nose is dipping. This is not good. Oh, front gear collapsed. So we landed too low. I couldn't judge. It's a slope. That's what threw me off. I couldn't judge where we were, and I did start going too slow. But barring the fact that the front landing gear collapsed, actually I think it may have clipped into the ground, but let's pretend it's the same thing. We have landed. Good God. We did it. Recover vessel. Wow. Okay, so we're going to compare our recovery funds here with the price of the actual thing. Sorry, just realized I hadn't finished my sentence. Come on, load. Parts. Okay. So basically 28,000 was recovered in parts. So if we check the actual price of our system, so it is a little bit more expensive because I think these engines are quite a bit more expensive than some of the others. 28,000 was recovered. And the difference will be both fuel and supplies. Where are we? Mark III. 34,000. Okay. Almost 35,000. So let's call that 7,000 Kerbal bucks was our mission price. Now, out of curiosity, if we take one of these and drain this of supplies. Oh, okay. It costs us nothing. Okay. So all of our costs, all of our expenses were fuel. Now, one thing we got to do right the frick away is get rid of this old RCS container and put in a proper one. Now, okay, we don't need 750. 80. 80 is lots. 80 is sufficient. That 80 will be overkill, but the right kind of overkill. I'm tempted to put a fairing right here. Know what I mean? I don't think it's going to really make a difference, Mostly it's going to look better. That's under payload. You can have it, like, snap to another part, right? There it is. Oops. Can't you? I thought you'd get it to snap. I might just be thinking of, like, the FARs or whatever. No. Close fairing. There we go. Okay, I must have just not done it right. The thing is, we don't actually want to get rid of this fairing at any point during the flight. Like... Oh, fairing staged. So if I click this, there we go. It's no longer staged. If, for some reason, I want to, I can always click it and release it in flight. But otherwise, it's just there. I suppose the other thing I could do is put some sort of service bay, this one here, and then stuff things inside. I don't know what the weight of this thing is compared to the actual weight of this thing. Rigid attachments, sure. No, I don't know. So, I mean, we'll leave it like that, I think. I don't think that's a significant change to design. Slightly heavier than before, but even with a completely naive ascent, we did fine. Well, I'm marking this mission as a huge success. I have never, ever done a true spaceplane before, and we did it here. I mean, first try on this, I did do some experiments first. Right, with the other engines to learn some of the basics, that sort of thing. I checked the wiki for information on the air intakes and those. But other than that, I didn't look at anyone's design for the spaceplane. I mean, frankly, if someone else has got this sort of thing, well, I'd be embarrassed for that person because, like, well, this does look kind of cool actually. Maybe not this part here. There's probably a cooler way to do the front. Something that'll look more aerodynamic. Although it definitely has that sort of drone-like look, you know, like unmanned drones. They've got that sort of funky front. I don't know. And remembering to pack enough RCS, everything is good. Oh, I should take these and actually move them back to here. Change symmetry mode, go there, and do that. Now, ideally, these would be balanced based around our center of mass, which I, would check when basically empty of fuel. But we're going to call this good enough. Done and done. Thank you very much for watching, folks, and I'll see you guys next time.